Hello, my sweet friends. It's me again, and it's Sunday morning again. Can you believe that? I super love talking about the fruit of the Spirit with you so much. And whenever I think about you, whenever I'm praying for you, I think about all that really good fruit that I see that comes out of you. But not only that, I am hearing stories from your parents about how you are showing such good fruit, how you are showing love to your family, how you are showing joy in tough situations, how you are showing peace. Oh, guys, I'm so proud of you. You are taking exactly what the Bible is teaching us to do and you're putting it into practice, and it is being a blessing. The fruit in you is flowing out and it is blessing the people around you. Way to go. My friends, it's been a couple weeks since we started meeting together like this on camera, and so I want to check in with you again. I want to know how you're doing. I want to know how you're feeling. So I am going to send you a balloon in the mail this week, and I want you to draw a face on that balloon that shows me how you're feeling. I'll go first. Here I am. I am feeling loved and happy. That's right. Loved and happy. So let me see, because I miss your face. So let me see your balloon face to let me know how you're feeling. All right, let's do a little bit of review before we get started going today. We are talking about a passage of scripture called the fruit of the Spirit. That's right. And where do we find the list of the fruit of the Spirit? The book of Galatians. That's right. What chapter? Chapter 5. That's right. Galatians chapter 5. Is Galatians in the Old Testament or the New Testament? The New Testament. Awesome. And who wrote that book of Galatians? It was Paul. You knew it. It was Paul. And what type of book is the book of Galatians? It is an epistle, which is just a really fancy word for letter. He wrote a letter to the church in Galatia, and it's recorded in our Bible as a book. And in that book of Galatians, or in that letter to the Galatian people, is the fruit of the Spirit, that what God in us looks like with God coming out of us. So we talked about love that is patient, love that is kind, love that doesn't want what belongs to others. It doesn't brag. It doesn't become easily angered. We talked about love like that, like a fruit. We talked about joy that keeps our hearts full regardless of what's going on the outside. Our insides are firmly planted in who God created us to be, and firmly planted knowing that God is in us and that we can have joy. It's on our insides. It has nothing to do with what's going on the outside. Fruit like peace, which allows us to trust God even when things are hard, even when things feel like a storm, even when things don't even seem to make sense. We can trust God because God in us and that coming out of us looks like peace, which also looks like really good fruit. So we've got love, we've got joy, we've got peace, and up next is patience. And I cannot wait to talk with you about patience. Did you see what I did there? Coming in hot! Whoa! There you are! Hello there, regular boys and girls. I am the superhero maker. I turn ordinary kids like yourself into superheroes. And today's superhero skill is patience. I will make you super patient. Now, what is patience, you may ask? Patience means waiting while staying calm without complaining and asking over and over again. And it's super hard to do. Whew, yes, it requires super strength of your heart. And why, might I ask, would we want super super patience. Well, let's look together in our superhero training manual, if you will, the Bible, and see what it has to say about patience. We are turning to the Book of Proverbs in the Old Testament. Now, Proverbs is sometimes called the Book of Wisdom because it is chock full of good advice and wise advice for our lives. We are looking for the Book of Proverbs, the big number 14 and the little number 29. Proverbs 14:29. I will give you super speed so you can find it faster. Here it goes. Proverbs 14:29. Anyone, that means you, anyone who is patient and has great life. My super tongue got in the way. Let's try again. Anyone who is patient has great understanding, but anyone who gets angry quickly shows how foolish he is. This is where I come in. I will turn you into a superhero because I am the superhero maker. Woohoo! I will turn you into a superhero by making you super patient. Then you too will have great understanding, just like Proverbs 14:29 says. Anyone who is patient has great understanding. Let's get to it. Now, many of our faith superheroes give us outstanding examples of patience. They have waited on the Lord, and that requires patience. Now, I'm just hitting the highlights here, so look for all of the very exciting details in your superhero training manual, also known as the Bible. First up, we have Father Abraham and Sarah. Abraham and Sarah waited for around 25 years for God to fulfill his promise that they would have a child. Spoiler alert! Their patience paid off, and God kept his promises, like he always does. All right, next up for the excellent examples of superheroes of our faith with super patience, dun, 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 we have Joseph. Now, Joseph's brothers sold him as a slave. Though he did not understand all that was happening, he trusted God to work out his plan in his time. He waited for God to fulfill his promise that Joseph would be a leader of his people. All right, next up, we have Super Moses. Moses led God's people through the wilderness for 40 years. You heard that right, 40 years. There was a lot of super patience required in Moses' story. Next up, we have Super Job. In Job, we see a man who had the patience to continue to trust God, that God would give him an answer to his very many trials and hard and difficult things. Read all about it. Super Job. All right, our next hero of the faith is one that you have probably heard of before. Noah! Noah patiently built an ark while there was no rain, and then patiently shared that ark with all kinds of animals, and they were stinky for 40 days and 40 nights. That's some super patience. All right, but don't forget about Jacob. Super Jacob. He waited for many years to marry his bride-select, Rachel, while working for her father the whole time. Super patience in Jacob. But don't forget about our Super David. Super David, da-na-na-na. When David was just a young shepherd, he was anointed as king, but he had to wait for many years to take the throne and run from the current king, for that matter, for it to happen. Check it out. Yeah. Okay, last but not least, one of my favorites. Whoa! The Holy Spirit had revealed to our superhero Simeon that he would not die until he had seen the birth of the Messiah. The Bible doesn't tell us how long Simeon was waiting, but the fact that it said he wouldn't die until he saw the Savior indicated to us that he waited for some time. Check it out. Yeah, so that was phase 1 of your superhero training, was looking for the good examples in your superhero training manual. As your superhero maker, next, we train! Yeah! Now, you need to look in your house, and you need to look at one wall and designate this wall as easy. And turn on this one on the opposite side, and this wall is hard. Easy is 1, hard is 10. Now I am going to read each of these situations to you, and you must rank how easy or difficult it will be to be patient in these following situations by standing in the coordinating spot between the two walls. If it's easy, you're going to be closer to 1. If it's difficult, you're going to be closer to 10, and anywhere in between. All right? We're trying to figure out how hard it would be to exercise patience in these following situations. When my sibling messes with my stuff. Pick a spot. Okay? Next one. When my mom is late picking me up from school or practice or something like that. How about this one? When my parents won't buy me what I think I need. That's hard, man. When people annoy me. How about this one? When I have explained the rules of this game to my younger sibling 5 times and she still doesn't understand. How about this one? Easy or difficult? When the Wi-Fi isn't working. One more. Superheroes in training. When there is a pandemic virus and we really want to return to life as normal. Easy. Difficult. That's right. Now, the reason we train this way is because you need to be able to identify what your hot button issues are. So hopefully, in this phase of your training, you have been able to identify when it is hard for you to exercise super patience, because you're gonna need it. All right, now that we have identified the difficulty of this virtue, we must discuss what weapons or what tools we have to help create super patience in us. Get your superhero training manual. Whoop. We are looking at the Book of Romans in the New Testament. Big number 12. Little number 12. Big number 12. Little number 12. Book of Romans in the New Testament. Also an epistle to the church in Rome. Are you ready? Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. Did you hear that? what weapons do we have that give us the strength to be patient? Faithful prayer. A stronger weapon has never been fashioned. Not even the lasso of truth from Wonder Woman, nor Thor's hammer can compare to the weapon that is faithful prayer. Also notice that our previous fruit, love, is a component of patience. When we love the people we serve as superheroes, it increases the effectiveness of our patience superpower. Friends, to complete our superhero training, I give this to you as your oath. From your superhero training manual, Ephesians chapter 4, verse 2. Here is your oath. Repeat after me. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. It is your oath as a super patient hero. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Now let's talk about the steps that we can use to carry out this oath that you have taken as a superhero of patience. When you find yourself frustrated with the waiting, take a few deep breaths. Inhale and exhale to signal to your body to relax, to restore equilibrium, and evaluate your situation. Step 1, take a few deep breaths. Step 2, step away for a moment, if possible. Taking a few steps away allows you to remove yourself from the situation if you are worried that your immediate reaction won't be patience. Step number 3 is my favorite. Sing what you want to say. I know you think that sounds silly, but singing can make you lose your patience, or it can make losing your patience super difficult. It's very difficult to lose your temper in a song. Case in point. Stop doing that! Stop doing that! Stop doing that! You see the difference? If you sing your answer, sing your reaction, it's very difficult to not have patience. Step number 4. Practice patience. Practice patience building habits in your life, like caring for yourself. In your life, in your everyday life, be healthy. Get enough sleep, for example. Sleep is crucial for both your physical and your emotional well-being. And patience requires emotional well-being as well as physical well-being. Drink plenty of water, especially in the Houston heat. And always plan ahead. Practice patience and practice patience building habits. Step number 5. Faithful prayer. As we have already talked, it is your top weapon against losing your temper. Faithful prayer. Step number 6. Repeat your oath often. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Memorize it, write it on your heart, and speak it often. Last step, if you do in fact lose your patience, as some superheroes might do, apologize if and when you need to. This completes your superhero training. You are now prepared to go forth and spread good fruit of patience in this world. The fruit of patience is yours. Until next time, superheroes. All right, my super patient friends. Let's talk a little bit more about patience, because having patience is not just our ability to wait. Everybody has to do that. Everybody has to wait. So it's not just being able to wait, it's how we act while we are waiting. If we can wait patiently for the big things in life, like maybe quarantine to be over, or for the coronavirus vaccine or something like that. And we wait for the small things like our mac and cheese to be finished cooking for lunch. We show that God is in us. It changes how we wait when God is in us because of that good fruit. We can wait with love, joy, peace, and patience. We want all that good fruit coming out to make us superheroes. Now, my friend Gwen had sent me a question. She was wondering about something. She was wondering what her new cousin will look like when she grows up. Well, first of all, Gwen and your family, congratulations on your new baby cousin. How wonderful. That's wonderful to hear. The unwonderful thing is, that is a question I just can't answer. It is a wonderful thing to wonder about, but I can't tell you that. Do you know what you have to use to be able to answer that question? Patience. That is the only way to answer that question, is with patience, and to know that that new baby will be exactly who God created her to be, just like you, my friend. All right, I want you to add patience to your fruit of the Spirit puzzle. You should have love, joy, peace, and patience. And in your journal, I want you to write down all the chances that you have to show that God is in you by waiting with superhero patience this week. You can do hard things. I believe in you. Let's sing together. Are you guys ready to sing along with me? We're going to do our Fruit of the Spirit song today, but our friend Elliot brought it to my attention that the fruit I have been choosing was a little bit too normal and predictable. And so he has suggested a new fruit for us to discover today called a durian. And from my Google research, it turns out a durian is in fact a fruit, but it's also a little stinky. So anyway, here we go. Let's do a durian first. The fruit of the Spirit's not a durian. The fruit of the Spirit's not a durian. If you've got a durian, you might as well eat it, 'cause it's not a fruit of the Spirit. The Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I have a unique one. How about a kumquat? The fruit of the Spirit's not a kumquat. The fruit of the Spirit's not a kumquat. If you've got a kumquat, you might as well eat it, 'cause it's not a fruit of the Spirit. The Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. All right, one more. How about a kiwi? The fruit of the Spirit's not a kiwi. The fruit of the Spirit's not a kiwi. If you've got a kiwi, you might as well eat it, 'cause it's not a fruit of the Spirit. The Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Okay, before we go today, I have a book that I'm going to read for you. We are going to use this book like a parable. When Jesus had hard or difficult things that he wanted to teach the people around him, he often used stories to prove his point. Stories called parables. You can find a lot of them in the New Testament, but parables mean a teaching story. And so our story today is going to be a parable, a teaching story, and it is called Remy the Rhino Learns Patience, written by Andy McGuire. He'd taken deep breaths and had counted to 10, but Remy the Rhino was charging again. The zebras this time were about to get hurt, 'cause they'd eaten the grass that he'd saved for dessert. It seemed there was constantly someone to charge, because that's what you do when you're angry and large. His doctor would say he had issues with rage, while his daddy just told him, please act your age. Everything's always made Remy upset. The dust was too dry, the water too wet. He hated the heat and he hated the cold. He wouldn't put up with the young or the old. The meerkats were jumpy, the hornbills too loud, giraffes made him grumpy, and the lions too proud. Gazelles were too timid, baboons made him scowl. They'd better stop bothering Remy right now. One evening, he dropped for a snooze on the ground when the aardvark came bumbling and shuffling around. Hungry for insects, she searched with her nose till she tripped on a patch of rhinoceros toes. Well, Remy got mad, as you probably guessed, but the aardvark did something I wouldn't suggest. She stood there and waited for Remy to charge her. She stood there and watched him get closer and larger. At the very last moment, as quick as can be, she dodged and Remy ran right into a tree. He tried to step back, but his horn had got caught, and the more Remy struggled, the stucker it got. He groaned and he screamed, he moaned and he grunted, but still that old tree wouldn't do what he wanted. He screamed like a banshee, he stomped on the ground. It sounded like thunder for miles around. Hundreds of animals fled in confusion. Then the aardvark said softly, I have a solution. Remy calmed down for a moment or two. So the aardvark went on, I know just what to do. What you need is some creatures to chew on this tree. I've got some connections. You leave it to me. The aardvark left Remy alone to consider what kind of beasts nibbled trees for their dinner. You know? Remy was growing a little afraid when the aardvark came back with a termite parade. My termites are perfect for work of this kind, but there's one little thing that you must keep in mind. Whenever you angrily struggle and jerk, it scares off the termites and it slows down their work. So as Remy experienced strange new sensations, he took a crash course in the virtue of patience. He waded through rain and he waded through thunder. He waded through birds climbing over and under. He waded through leopards, absurd decorations. He waded through gawkers from faraway nations. He waded through elephants' balancing act. Until, little by little, he learned to relax. He got free. He got free. What can that story teach us? Patience is something that we all need, my friends. And patience coming out of us looks like God in us. I hope you use your super patient skills this week, and I'll see you next week.